Alright, guys, movie of the week 65 or 65 million years ago. Or 65 million years ago, prehistoric Earth had a visitor. All of those titles seem like they work, but I think the official title of this Sam Raimi film, starring Adam Driver and like 3 other people only, the entire human cast other than some dead bodies, was about 4 people total. So this movie, this is March 19th, 2023. This is my movie review of the week, slash recap. And if you're interested, or if you're not interested in spoilers, then if you're not interested in spoilers, you should not watch this recap. This is my movie of the week, and it will be spoiled for those watching it. So, first of all, let me quickly recap. And by the way, let me talk about this a little bit. I think this has been a kind of a rough week for me. Today is the 10th anniversary of my dad passing away. And a friend's funeral was today that I knew for almost over a decade. And so it's been a rough day for me. It could have been rougher for sure. There were essentially celebrations of life involved, but that's not why you came to hear this, and I just wanted to get that off my chest. And I'm glad to be alive to do these movie reviews on this third decade of the new millennium and new century, and third decade, third year. Okay, so let's get to it. So what did I think about the movie? So basically, recapping. Basically, it's not very, looking at the poster, not very complicated. Adam Driver. Okay, so one thing is that Adam Driver does not go back in time to fight dinosaurs. Adam Driver is from an alien race that existed 65 million years ago that happened to come across Earth, and this alien race had members who were basically human, which is a total possibility. They could have evolved in, some different civilization. And sometimes people think, like people who are not familiar with science fiction, this was total science fiction, that, aliens coming to Earth, all aliens, and before I started thinking about the Fermi paradox and whatnot, and yes, I will talk about that, even though this is a movie review of a relatively basic Hollywood movie. Aliens and humans, there could have been many advanced alien civilizations that existed way before mankind, and thus it's not that aliens will necessarily be more or less technologically advanced than us. They could have been species that have been built millions of years ago, like millions of years more advanced than us. So that's just something to keep in mind. And I just want to preface that this is not a time travel movie where Adam Driver is a human from Earth. He is from another alien race. I forgot the name of the planet. It begins with an S, so Mars or something like that. The scene opens up to him, his daughter, and his wife, partner / whatever, on a beach, and him having to go on a 2-year mission, a deep space mission, away from their home planet, which looks fairly alike Earth, but obviously different. The continental structure is different, the atmosphere is different, but still something that can support life, and probably had a similar evolution to Earth, a Terran environment, Terran world. So Adam Driver's character, which I forgot his name, I just refer to him forever as Adam Driver, it goes off on this mission to leave his daughter behind, who is ill. While he's on this mission, I guess he gets these recordings, so he goes into deep space, and along, apparently, with him are several other people who go to deep space. And so what happens is, as he's traveling, they're in cryostasis. The crew is in cryostasis, and which is a common thing because it would take like a really long time to travel through space anywhere. So I guess I'm assuming from the fact that this planet is way far away that the ship has FTL travel or some kind of really fast travel velocity. The cryostasis is to keep the crew asleep for years, so they're not Daenerys timeline. Okay, so anyway, uh, what happens is apparently unknown automation kind of is supposed to be directing this ship, but an unidentified asteroid phenomenon hits the ship and causes the ship to crash land on Earth. And find out from the info presented to you that the ship crash landed on Earth. The timeline of Earth is where 65 million years ago in Earth's past, and almost all the survivors are dead. There's 2 escape pods missing. One has Adam Driver still on the ship. He goes outside of the ship. He finds all the crew dead pretty much. And one escape pod he finds a little while later with a little girl in it who's still alive, and he helps resuscitate. And apparently one other escape pod is like far away from them. So basically, the plot being pretty simple, him and this girl have to go from where they are located to the escape pod to get off this planet. And so they must, as you must imagine, fight their way through a gauntlet of dinosaurs and bugs. The dinosaurs, I would say, much more advanced than the Jurassic Park quality dinosaurs of '93 when Jurassic Park came out. This is the Cretaceous area, so maybe we can rename this Cretaceous Park. Whatever. So essentially, Adam Driver and the girl Cola, they make their way through the land using some advanced. Adam Driver has an advanced a gun that fires plasma bolts or something like that, and he has this pretty useful kind of proximity detector, all-in-one kind of advanced device. And him and this girl does not speak English, or does not speak Adam Driver's language. I don't want to say English because that's probably only meant for an audience convenience. Since she doesn't speak Adam Driver's language, she's from the so-called Upper Territories. Adam Driver, you find out, has discovered in an English and puts in an English recording, so she doesn't understand, I guess, because he doesn't speak her language, that her parents have been killed. They were on the escape. They were in 2 of the escape pods that were destroyed, and it's only her left, and he basically needs her to come along and cooperate. And so he can't communicate with her really anyway, but he lets her. He's telling her family, if she follows him and goes with him, it's easy to go along. Her family's on the top of a mountain, and that where the escape craft is. So he goes along. So she decides to go along, and they have limited communication ability with him, with Cola learning words along the way, until there's some semblance of communication. So basically, they're fighting small dinosaurs at first, and they're fighting small bugs, and the size and ferocity of the dinosaurs continues to increase as you can go from the Procamcygnathes type smaller dinosaurs to raptor type dinosaurs, which they didn't specify because to Adam Driver and his race, all the dinosaurs are basically aliens. So just dangerous aliens, as he calls them. And so he and this girl go about and move forward and do all sorts of stuff. They have some fun little moments of them trying to communicate, the girl getting frustrated that it's taking essentially a long time to get to her family. Many dangerous situations happen along the way that I feel could cause permanent stress and permanent psychological damage for the girl, and even Adam Driver. Some kind of PTSD is sure to follow. And eventually, throughout somewhere in the midpoint of the movie, you find that Adam Driver sees in the sky there's this powerful light. So he uses his proximity detector to, at first, aim at this thing, determine what it is, and the proximity detector first sees it can't identify it, and then it identifies it as a so-called catastrophic asteroid, which is the asteroid that presumably killed the dinosaurs, and that is the asteroid that killed the dinosaur, ends up killing the dinosaurs, and basically just making Earth uninhabitable for larger life forms for years. So essentially, it's a race to get to the end, to get to the space is the escape craft, and essentially they get stuck in a cave, they get stuck in a log. Adam Driver discovers geysers, volcanic acidic geysers full of like hydrosulfuric vents. He almost gets killed by one, and so after several dinosaur attacks, including in the cave, we got like like a kind of secret kind of cave dinosaur, and initial confrontation with Tyrannosaurus. You're like, okay, him and Cola finally get to the spacecraft, and then they find out that Cola finds out her parents are dead. Adam Driver, somewhere along the line, reveals that his daughter died somewhere in the middle of the trip. I guess he's been getting updates from the home world, and eventually it seems like their bond is kind of mutual. They're painted mutual. They have to basically just get off to say survive for each other at this point. And so you think they're about done. They're about to escape, and all of a sudden it gets turned over, and then you're like, yeah, because you see the asteroids, you see asteroid fragments falling from the sky at terminal velocity, burning up and exploding in small explosions around, and then you're like, okay, well, it can't be that easy, right? Because you still have some of the movie left, and you're like, Adam Driver has fought dinosaurs, but he's mostly fought smaller dinosaurs and had like one semi-confrontation with the larger dinosaurs. You can't have a movie about dinosaurs without having Adam Driver fight massive dinosaurs. So that was kind of left towards the end of the movie, where apparently he fights these two Tyrannosaurus-like dinosaurs, and he's able to divert them away from the escape craft because the escape craft gets damaged and needs to upright itself. And so the one Tyrannosaurus dinosaur he ends up killing, and then there's a hopeful scene where the Cola girl ends up projecting a vision of his daughter getting eaten by one of the other dinosaurs that has cornered him, so he gets his gumption back up and his will to continue on back up. He lost his will a few times in the caves, and she's motivated to find her family at that point, and then she's just motivated to make sure he doesn't die eventually. She projects this, and then one of the Tyrannosaurs starts chomping at his projected currently dead daughter furiously, the hologram not making any progress, and that angers him, so he gets the surge, and he kills the Tyrannosaurus. But then finally, you think everything's okay, and he's about to head back to the space shuttle, when finally a massive, and Cola's inside, finally the mother of all dinosaurs, some kind of Gigantosaurus probably comes through, which you needed a massive dinosaur that's even more powerful than the Tyrannosaurus pumped into the last few minutes. And so he eventually runs away from the dinosaur, trying to sacrifice himself so Cola can get off, because one of the Tyrannosauruses uprighted the shuttles conveniently, and they're about to leave. So Cola Adam Driver tries to lure the dinosaur all the way by running away from him to the hydrosulfuric vents, hydrothermal vents with sulfuric acid, or whatever, volcanic vents, and he is almost successful, but the dinosaur ends up the brunt of the vents, acidic and really hot content, ends up missing the dinosaur, and the dinosaur is about to eat him, when all of a sudden Cola comes to the rescue, runs at the dinosaur with a makeshift weapon she created, with some poison berries or something at this tip that look like blood, and she stabs the dinosaur in the eye, and then finally the dinosaur loses its orientation and positions itself right conveniently over the hydrothermal vent, where it gets sprayed full-on direct blast by the hot volcano and ends up dying, melting its flesh off in its skin. And so they make it back to the space shuttle before the asteroid comes. In fact, they're right in the path of the asteroid. They dodge the asteroid. As the asteroid comes to Earth, destroys essentially most of the life on the Earth with a spectacular explosion, a billion times more powerful than the hydrogen fusion bomb, which it was in real life, this K2 extinction event. And then the end credits pretty much go to Adam Driver and this girl Cola, basically being each other's family, flying away, and getting rescued by the rescue ship from the civilization, and then the timeline progressing through the Ice Age and through all sorts of ages until eventually the Age of Man, and then the credits end. So what did I think about the movie? That was the recap. Overall, I thought the movie started off pretty slow. Okay, so the movie was kind of like, I didn't hate it. Initially, I was like, yeah, everything seems like it's been done, and like I felt like it could be done, and it was kind of campy, and Adam Driver doesn't deliver the best dialogue. Okay, and it's an action sci-fi adventure, but still, I think his dialogue initially was subpar. I think it progressed and got better through the movie, and I think the cola element initially was kind of annoying, but eventually, it started to grow on me, and I think not that their chemistry was really that great for a while, but eventually it seemed like it was something relatable, believable, and also it's an interesting twist because the communication barrier between the child and Adam Driver was something that needed to be surmounted. And it seems like it could be realistic because if the child didn't speak the same language and his universal translator or whatever was broken, then they would have to find a way to communicate in order to survive. And so, like, that's not very complicated, but I could see it being a realistic and interesting, an interesting facet to survival in this situation. And I thought the weaponry was cool, the effects were interesting, nothing I haven't seen a million times before, but I think the execution was interesting, and it spent a bunch on CGI, of course, but not more than Jurassic Park, I think. And I'm just like backtracking back to when I first saw Jurassic Park, and I'm thinking like, man, if this came out before Jurassic Park, wow, this would have been the Jurassic Park of the day. But not really. Anyway, so not really. No, Jurassic Park was a very unique concept in its own right. So this was more like whatever monster movie, kind of same trope. I'm sure similar movies have been done. The score was pretty good. It was by some, I forgot who scored it. I know Danny Elfman was supposed to have scored part of it, but he didn't end up getting the full credit. Whatever the case is, score was good. Action scenes were good. And I felt it was satisfying. Like they could have done more, but I felt it did enough. And I felt the world was constrained. And most of all, I felt that the movie wasn't like super like woke or anything like that, or it wasn't shoving moralism down our throats. It was a simple sci-fi movie with a simple sci-fi premise, and I think Adam Driver has come not far. I mean, he was, I think, a better actor as Kylo Ren, and also in that Marriage Story he did on Netflix a few years back during the midst of the pandemic, which thank goodness he's not doing that, because he fits more in movies like this or somewhere in between. Whatever the case is, I think he did well. The unbelievable parts were that he dislocated his arm while falling from a tree, and then as soon as his arm was undislocated, he was able to, like, in a split second, use it to attack, to defend against the dinosaurs that were attacking him and Cola. So I think that was kind of unbelievable. I think he would have taken more than a few seconds to recover from that dislocation, if he recovered at all, to be able to fire his weapon. So anyway, would I recommend? I think I would, but like not like high. Like I think I would give it like probably 3.3 out of 5, 3.4 to 5, which is not a bad score in my opinion. Like it was, to me, it was above average, and I liked it, and I felt good about the premise. So 3.5, 3.6, maybe 3.7. I don't know. Like once you start, it's definitely not in the 4 range. I'll put that much, 4 to 5 range. But I will give it I enjoyed the movie a lot. And it could have been better, but I did enjoy it, and I like sci-fi and things too. Okay, well, that's it for my movie review. Catch my movie reviews on an almost weekly basis. Hopefully I can do them on a regular, and yeah, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.